All right, more technical difficulties, maybe. I may or may not be live. Let's see what's happening. Looks good. Right when I was starting to set up, my whole thing for the live drawing fell apart. So I was just putting that back together. That was a ton of fun. So thanks to everyone who's joining me. If we're live. And looks like Ken is live. All right, so this is my first time doing this without a partner, assistant, or help. So I'm going to read some notes. Maybe take some questions. Maybe do some live stuff, drawing. I have a couple of ideas to do myself. If you have any requests, just hit me up. My name is Ken, and you are following my page. Last but not least. All right, fantastic. All right, so because I got a late start, I didn't get to do the stuff I wanted to do. Thank you, Ted. Good to see you, buddy. I owe a lot to Ted. He gave me the idea to start doing this thing. Told me about the service for it and all that fun. So I wanted to do this so much. I'm gonna get a reboot because hey, it's my show. Let's start with this. 1, 2, 3. All right. So the joy of live TV, right? Anybody remember TV? That's what we used to have before we had the internet. All right. This is Ken. Welcome to Ken's Comics. Thank you for watching me. If you're watching me live, thank you so much. If you're watching me later, because I'm recording, thank you even more. I appreciate everyone. I am having, hey, thank you, Ted. I'm working on the split screen. That's what happened, why I was a little bit late because this whole rig fell apart and I didn't have my angle set. So looking good. I'm going to shut off my Facebook right now because I'm getting all kinds of notifications from that. And we don't want that. That's going to interrupt all our fun, isn't it? Groovy. All right. I'm using some old paper from Free Comic Book Day years past because I used to print up a lot of those ahead of time. Anybody that met me ever at Free Comic Book Day like Ted did, I would sit and do regular live sketches, which is what I'm doing here today. I'm really excited because I miss that. I miss interacting with people, taking requests, and I'm sharp. I'm not sharp anymore. I'm getting rusty. So when conventions start happening again, I want to practice a little more to be able to do like quick drawings. So that's sort of the plan of this day. Thank everyone for coming. Watch as I check my notes. I don't have a teleprompter. I should get a teleprompter. That'd be dope. So I'm fiddling around with this new thing. I got a new phone holder to point down so I can try and do a live stream drawing. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I like to make cool stuff. And what I'm learning this year, especially being stuck away from people, is that making it at home and just sitting at my table is just not enough. Like I said, I miss people. I miss interacting. So I'm trying to learn more about how to share with you and with the world and get my projects out there. Not to brag and be all Mr. Ego, but I just like doing art, making comics. And if nobody knows I'm doing it, what's the point? And if I don't get to promote it and keep growing it as a business and as a personal thing, then it's not sustainable. So I'm going to keep building and building and building. To that end, you can follow me here on Instagram and Twitter. I have most of my comics that I've ever self-published are straight up on Indie Planet. So indieplanet.com. You can search Ken Lennar and you'll get all the books that are on there that I've done. It's not the only thing I've ever done, but it is a lot of them, especially the self-published ones. Of course, I'm a freelancer. I've worked for companies like Cosmic Times and Paperback Jack and Creature Entertainment. I've done logo design for years, and pretty much for the last 10 years, I've been drawing anything somebody will pay me to draw. The fun about that is I get to pick my projects. So if I don't like a project, I don't have to take it. I don't have to apply for it. I don't have to bid on it. You know, uh, the downside of that is it's fleeting. So there's dry spells and then there's a lot of busy times. Right now, I'm in the middle of a busy time, so I'm going to talk to you about some of the stuff I'm doing before I go into drawing. Okay, so right this minute, I'm working on several things. Catching up on a project I've been doing for a while with Nick White for Cinema Slice. That I'm gonna name it later. Actually, it's not for kids, but it's an animated project, which is cool. I've never done a full-on animated thing before, with the exception of a short quarantine video we did called Quarantine Cat. You can find that on YouTube, Quarantine Cat, under Cinema Slice. So working on finishing that. I'm in the midst of a great project with Earth Team Green, and the people there, Arlie Owens and the Pellmans, and the whole Ohio Recycling Coalition. They're putting together another book in their series of eco-friendly superhero books, and this one's called The Sky Princess, starring a preteen, tween young lady who is gifted with supernatural abilities and fighting aliens who are trying to not only take over but destroy the planet ecologically. And it's kind of like a Captain Planet meets X-Men kind of thing. Very, very cool. I love this project with all my heart, and I can't wait to show you guys more of it. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and there's a lot of samples of that are coming up. The next most immediate huge thing, though, is going to be Angel's Blood. Now, I ran a Kickstarter with my buddy Mike for Angel's Blood in 2017. It was a mixed bag of experience there. It went well, and then it went too well. So it's taken us this long to really get back on the horse to making more, because the first Kickstarter took off, blew up, and then we had rewards to make and promises because we were doing so well. We started saying, well, let's make more of this and more of that, and these backstories. And it actually was more than we could handle at the time. I'm going to be straight up honest. So we're excited to finally bring that back, and we're telling those early stories. And so coming May 10th, we are all set to launch. The book is just about ready to go. We're going to do Angel's Blood 0. That's the prequel stories of how our main characters, Golgoth, the chief demon of hell, and Father Miller, who is a former military guy who's found peace in the church, how they started, how they got to where they are. I'd like to give you a brief synopsis of Angel's Blood generally, though, because I'd like more people to read it. So hit me up, follow me on socials, or follow Mike. We have an Angel's Blood Facebook page called Angel's Blood Comic Book. In a nutshell, I'm not a writer, so forgive me for being wordy and lengthy. A good writer would have a brief synopsis ready. But Angel's Blood is about these two main characters, Golgoth the Demon and Father Miller, who is, like I said, he's a former military guy. He's seen war, been dark. He's got one of these abilities. You know, there's a lot of people call the sight. He can see things that other people can't. Nobody knows it. It tortures him. He hides from it. So he's done. He's done with life, man. He's tired of facing things. He just buries himself in the church, serves people, serves God, and he's happy with that. He just likes it quiet. But there's this demon who seeks him out. Why? Because, spoiler alert, it's really on the first page. Spoiler alert, though, an angel dies right away. So there's this dead angel, and he falls to the earth. Now, a dead angel's body being recovered is something that both heaven and hell want. Demons, of course, would love to take this angel's body and hang it up like a trophy and mock heaven and God and hell and the angels and stuff. The angels, of course, and God want to prevent that. So this is kind of a heaven versus hell war type of thing. There are no clear good guys and bad guys. I want to stress that. You know, it's one of these things that toys with your preconceptions of both heaven and hell and good and evil. You know, Father Miller is this pious, like, priest, but he's got a dark side. And then Golgoth, this evil, horrible demon from hell, also has a good side, and he's trying to better himself. He wants redemption. He wants to be more than he really is. He led a bad life on Earth, straight up, and we're going to see some of that in the prequel story coming out starting May 10th. So please follow us there. I'm looking forward to showing you guys some of the human stuff. So Golgoth was a human, and what he did was horrible, and it earned him a spot in hell. But after several hundred years there, he's like, I, I I don't like demons. I don't like hell. I don't want to be one of these guys. I want more. I want better for myself. So it's all about that. Those two coming together. And there's going to be a journey. It's not, not Lord of the Rings epic like walking to Mordor, but it is this story of how these two come together. They find a weird partnership, and then along the way, they're being sought and attacked. Nobody knows where this body is, uh, except for Miller saw it fall, so everybody's after him. Anyway, that's all. I'm gonna stop right there because there's a lot more. There's a lot of action, blood. It is mature rated, just for the sake of language and violence, uh, and it's something I love. I'm proud of. It's a lot of fun to do and draw, but I don't let my little kid read it because it's not for little kids. Some stuff I do is for little kids though. So one more thing that's coming up next year, we're gonna do a sequel to Run. If you haven't seen my children's book Run, uh, it's all over my Facebook page. You can also find it on Amazon. It's written by the great Vince Churchill, and it's a fun story for early readers, kind of a Dr. Seussy, rhymey, sing-songy kind of thing with cute illustrations. It's simple and fun. So I do a lot. I do demons and zombies and stuff, but I also draw kids books, logos, stuff, whatever I feel like. Anything anybody wants to do with me. So if I have no comments here, and I have more notes, I've plugged all my plugs, and I'm talking a mile a minute because it's just me. Usually I have someone to back and forth and chit chat with. Mike's not here, but Mike's going to be joining us. So we're talking a lot about doing one of these a week, uh, especially leading up to the Kickstarter. And again, shameless plug, and I love doing stuff, but I'm not here to just. There's not like big riches in making indie comics. I make them because I love them. I love reading them. They inspired my life. They gave me a purpose when I was a kid, and I have a passion for it. If I was a millionaire, if I hit the lotto tomorrow, I'd be doing exactly what I'm doing. I would just do it in a nicer basement, and maybe with a nicer car. Shameless plug for Mellow Yellow, Breakfast of Champions. No, they don't give me any money for that. I just need my caffeine. Alrighty, friends. So I'm going to shoot the breeze for, I don't know, maybe half an hour. Do a couple things. So I'm going to start with something super simple and easy. Like, there's my hand. See if you can see my drawing. My angle is all kinds of weird. Thank you for playing my game. So I get asked sometimes, what started me drawing? I mean, and that's a hard question to answer because I just like to draw. I can't remember a moment in my life from my earliest memories that I didn't love drawing. So from living in the old apartments with my parents as a little kid, as soon as I could hold a pencil, I was drawing stuff. I was drawing on the walls. Sorry, Mom. I was drawing on whatever paper I had. I remember doing art projects with my mom, which some of my favorite memories just of my whole life have been of art and drawing. So I'm gonna start with this one because my first real love for drawing, I think, came from cartoons and cartoon strips. Sunday funnies, man. Like I would get the Sunday newspaper and immediately steal the comic section from my dad. I'm not in love with this angle. And Garfield. So anyway, back to work. Garfield with Jim Davis, creator extraordinaire, was my favorite cartoon or comic strip growing up. And it was simple. It was easy to draw, and something about those eyes. And I draw now the classic Garfield. I'm going to sound like a nerd because most of you probably have no idea that there's been several incarnations of Garfield over the years. When he started, he was a gigantic fat cat, and he slimmed him down. And over the years, if you look at the progression, he gets smaller and smaller. His eyes get bigger and rounder. And the Garfield that I love most is the Garfield that was when I was growing up, which had the very circular eyes. Now Garfield has very big, wide oval eyes. They look like more like this now. If you ever seen a Garfield with big oval eyes, they look like that. Right now, though, my favorite, and I draw what I love, especially when I'm doing Garfield. I do a lot of Garfields on Christmas cards, birthday cards, doodles, graffitis. If you ever been to a family video, God rest their soul. I used to work there on the setup crew. Every single store I ever went to and set up, there's a Garfield similar to this in magic marker underneath the counter somewhere. I hide them like Easter eggs. So as I see all these family videos breaking down and going out of business, I'm feeling sad, but I'm wondering in there somewhere when they're tearing it apart if anybody's found some of my Garfields. I'd also do caricatures of me and my crew, my friends and people, my setup team, um, just for fun. And then years later, we'd go and remodel that store again, and we'd pull up back a paneling, and there's a magic marker drawing of um, stupid Garfield or something, and it's just silly and fun. But it's what I do. All right, so this is my quick draw at Garfield. Easily my favorite, and Jim Davis too was asthmatic. So as a kid growing up with asthma, I really looked up to him. He had a whole book, I believe, about how he conquered his asthma with natural breathing techniques. Now, I don't know that that's the answer for everybody, but I always thought it was cool and inspirational. And he made this thing that he just loved to do, and it inspired me as a kid. So it's something unfortunately, I collect Garfields now. I have a ridiculous collection of Garfields. I get Garfield plushies and toys and pictures and signs as gifts. I have all the books. My poor wife wants me to maybe try to pare that down a little bit. So a lot of them are in boxes now. But anyway, back to me. That's my drawing. That's my Garfield. I like comics. Anyone that has a question about comic books or my comics, feel free to hit me up. Or hit me up on Facebook or in the comment section, because I'm going to record this. I'm going to post it, and I'm going to do another one of these later. And I just don't have a schedule set yet. I haven't figured out days and times. Life is super busy, even during COVID. My daughter's got dances, play practice, and we have competition and lots of things. So as soon as I figure out a regular schedule, I want to do these on the same day and time, like a regular show. I mean, I don't want to be a broadcaster. I'm not trying to make a show, but I am trying to get out there. And I'm trying to interact with people more. And I can't do shows. I can't do conventions. I can't meet people as much in person. I can stop by the comic book store, and I love John. A big shout out to John Cashman, because your local comic book store is a staple and a home. And I hope all of you, wherever you are, support your local comic store. Here in Bay City, we support Cashman's, because Cashman's is easily the best. He's that guy. He's that guy that runs a store because he loves it and he's good at it. He's not like that. I don't know. I don't want to be a mocking way. So anybody that's not into comics is thinking like Simpsons, a comic book guy, nerd. Not that guy. John is awesome. He's a musician. He's a prolific guy. He's always cooking and doing something, and he runs a great store that makes people comfortable. You love to be there. It's almost like Cheers. You walk in and it's like Norm, except it's not Norm. It's Ken. And I know that everybody else that goes in there, he knows them too. I walk in and he's got everybody's name. He's got their pull. He knows what comics they want. He knows what comics I want before I know it. All right. So John Cashman, Cashman's Comics, where prices are born and raised elsewhere. Loving that. So what am I going to draw next? Well, if anybody knows me, and if you don't know me, why are you watching? I'm not thrilled with the angle of my head and face here, because I had to move because there's a huge shadow. See, check this out. All kinds of shadow. Nobody wants that. But let's talk about why else I draw comics. Why comics? Um, everybody seems to have an idea of what creators should do with their time. I know guys that are in bands and they're like, oh man, you should do rock music. You should do this kind of music. You'd be huge. You'd be big. And I get that. I don't mind. I'm not knocking people for having suggestions. A lot of you have probably suggested to me things I could do to monetize my artwork too. And I do appreciate the support. But in terms of why I do what I do, and I do it because I love it, I'm not a marketing guy. I'm not a salesman. I'm I'm not the kind of guy who can push stuff on you that you don't want. So I've been told I could be a great salesman if I would just get a job in sales. But if I'm not selling something that I believe in and I actually love, I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable selling. I'm not even comfortable selling myself, and I believe in myself. So, um, but if I love something, then I can really go for it. So to that degree, the reason I chose comics to focus on doing what I love has a lot to do with this guy right here. So I'm a big fan of the Incredible Hulk. I was a fan of the show. Y'all don't know the old Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno show. It was groundbreaking, and I'll tell you right now, I love it. Not for the smashing. I know smashing's cool, violence is cool, breaking stuff and fighting. Yeah, yeah, I love all that. But what's the best about it is that the Hulk is a relatable character. He's the other side of a human, man. Bruce Banner is a repressed guy with troubles like everyone else. And what I've loved most about the book and even the show was a very dramatic show. There's every episode, there's like 8 to 10 minutes of Hulk in the show. The rest of it is all Bruce Banner's story. David, if you watch the show, talk about why they changed the name later. So it's really about a brilliant scientist, a genius who is cursed. He's troubled, and he fights his inner rage. I think the Marvel movies have done a fair job, the most recent ones, of explaining him and why he does what he does, or why he's like when Black Widow says he avoids the fight because he knows he'll win. He knows his power. Banner knows the Hulk is the strongest there is. He's he doesn't want to be. He's afraid of that. He's afraid of unleashing that on the world, and rightfully so. If anybody reads the Hulk, man, he can and will be a problem. You know, he's been banished because he's too powerful and too uncontrollable. Or when he becomes the evil maestro in the future, he's very dangerous. So he's the strongest one there is. But what gets me is the struggle, man. Who doesn't struggle with their own inner demons from time to time? Who doesn't fight with themselves and lose their temper and wish they could take it back? Now the fight there. Imagine if your fight was personified. Imagine if you could actually look in the mirror and talk to or interact with your monster. You know, everybody's got something dark in them, and I think that's why I'm drawn to violent comics a little bit. I like Spawn and the Angel's Blood, a lot of fighting and stuff. And I'm the opposite. In real life, I'm not that guy. You know, I'm not a big angry tough guy, and I don't like getting into fights and brawls. I avoid conflict at all costs. You know, I'm not that guy. But in art, you can be anything, or if you're writing, you can be anything. In music, you can be anything. So creating is an outlet. So drawing the Hulk. When I was mad as a kid, uh, if my mom's watching, sorry, but when I get mad at my parents, or if I'm angry with anybody, a bad day at school, I got picked on, or I would come home and I could draw the Hulk smashing stuff, and that was me. I was Banner, really, but I could change. I could bring that to the page, and I could draw as much muscles and veins. You got neck veins here, do a little of that. Now I'm just playing around. I wanted to show you the ever loving Hulk, but that's something that when I was growing up, and a lot of you that are 30 plus probably get this too. I was just having a conversation with somebody because, like, comics weren't cool. Okay. Comics weren't cool. You were nerdy and you were weird if you liked comics, if you collected comics, if you talked about comics or Star Wars and stuff like that. What I, hey, look, I got to take a, this is me figuring stuff out. It wasn't cool. Now it's cool. And I think I don't think there are newcomers. I think there are people the last 10, 15 years who now will admit that they loved comics when it wasn't cool to do so. You know, but I mean, literally, you'd get picked on or beat up or pushed around for being weird or different in any way. And most people know that. What you don't know at the time, and I'm trying to deal with a teenager myself now, what you don't know is that everybody feels that way. Almost everybody. I've talked to people who picked on me back in the day or berated me, and they felt that way too. All of us were. Everybody's going through stuff. Even kids nowadays, the stuff they're going through, it correlates to stuff I went through, that we all went through. So I think one of the things I wanted to point out today, and I was going to get to this later, and I'll touch on it later. So I'm gonna go back to drawing real quick because I like drawing. Um, this looks a little funky, guys, because I'm drawing at an odd angle. I usually will be right on top of my picture, but I can't. There's a phone there that's filming this. What I want to say though, something that's important to me right now is that we're not alone. You're not alone. If you're watching this, then you know me somehow or you've heard of me, and that means you're one of my circle, and I'm with you. I'm there for you. Honestly, a friend of mine not long ago reminded me it's important to shine. There's a song by Newsboys called "Shine." It exemplifies this, and by shine I mean show people who you are, particularly if it's positive, because people need to know. I mean, other people will see, hopefully, your light, and maybe it inspires them, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's dark. You know what? I can't lie. Um, I'm getting off track and I'm getting a little emotional because I've been thinking about a lot of stuff lately. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna get back to the art for a second, but man, I'm looking at the whole world right now is full of stress. Right, I'm seeing more friends of mine right now talk about their mental health than I've ever seen. People I looked up to and I respect and still do, but people that I thought, man, this person has it all together. I watch their Facebook posts and they're posting like, I am so insecure and I'm so down, and I'm and initially I'm sad, right? So I'm sad because I feel for that. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry you feel that way, but a little bit encourages me because one, if you're sharing stuff on Facebook or social media, you're reaching out, and that's okay. That's good. Two, I'm like, dude, I feel that way. So a friend of mine, I'm not going to call out, but a friend of mine who's a way more successful artist than me posted something about feeling insecure about his art, and it takes me aback because literally, like, this guy has the career I would dream to have. This dude's doing exactly what I want to do in life, and for him to be so successful and so good at it, and I mean, drop dead good, like make me feel like an amateur good, and I don't mean to be disparaging, but for 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 him to be like, I am so insecure about my art, and he's one of the greatest artists I know. It lets me know that I'm not alone. My wife saw the post. He said, "You're not the only one." And I think if there's anything we can take away from this whole past year, and beyond, but this past year especially, because we've all been under this extra strain, whether it's a strain of COVID, no pun intended, or strain of quarantine, just regular life, or maybe it's politics or war or anything that's got everybody down. There's extra the last year or so. There's extra on all our shoulders, and you are not the only one. I am not the only one. I am doing this kind of stuff right now because it's therapy for me. I feel better. The only thing sometimes that pulls me out when I'm just feeling low and hurt and the world's against me, and not I'm not get all sappy, or I'm literally exemplifying what I'm trying to be against. I think we're all our own worst critics. So when I see myself feeling down, I'm like, oh, don't be down, you know. But I think what I have to remember and what we should all look at is it's okay to be down. It's okay to feel your feelings. For the love of God, we're all in it. We're all there. We're all in this country dealing with the strife and the pressure and COVID. I mean, those of us raising kids right now, this has been the hardest year, um, for more for us for kids, I swear to God, they're more resilient than we are. I'm 47 old, man. I am set in my ways. So when stuff starts to go wrong for me, I am like tired of it. Um, and I don't adapt well. I admit it. I don't like change. I like things the way they are. I like things my way. I'm comfortable with because when I'm out of my comfort zone, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. So that's why people get all cranky and stuff. And we have to change and adapt. But, so back to my point. You know, share, shine, share light, share your darkness if you got to. Share whatever you're feeling because it touches somebody. It reaches my friends that are sharing even their negative posts, their sad posts, they're pissed about politics posts. It it's reaching out. Okay, we're connecting. I'm connecting right now, and that's got to be good. I'm not, and God knows there's enough hurt. Shine your light. Share your sadness. Share your doubt or something, because it's my show. Oh, well, okay. That's my priority. I remembered the mellow yellow. Forgot to plug in the laptop. Ah, good times, friends. Good times. I've explained the Hulk story a bunch of times, so I'm not going to go into that again. But let's just say the Hulk, besides being my favorite character and the drama of it all, I uh, I'm inspired. I was inspired by the artists that came before me. The John Byrne had some amazing muscular Hulks. I was a huge fan of Al Milgrom and Sal Buscema, but what hit me most, and I'll tell it real quick, Todd McFarlane and Jim Sanders had the best run on the Hulk of all time. I'm going to give a shout out right now to the cover inker for a lot of those issues, by the way, which is Bob McLeod. I've actually been through the miracle of the internet conversating now and again with Bob McLeod. He's got a Patreon page. He's been around like 40 plus years. He's worked on just about everything. He's a great guy. He's got some awesome how-to books that uh, for an aspiring artist or for a beginner are great tips on how to organize panels and layouts and stuff. I super love Bob McLeod. But the reason the Hulk hit me because I as a young kid and relatively good in art. Every teacher, not centered. Every teacher would tell me, uh, okay, so I did well in art. Art was my thing. Every teacher either supported it or didn't. Some teachers only because it was math class, and you're not supposed to be drawing in math class. But I didn't know what to do, So why comics and why the Hulk? Because I didn't know what I was doing. I was a kid like everybody else, trying to figure out what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an astronaut, fireman, a bunch of stuff. Wanted to be a superhero, but Underoos went out of style, so that didn't work. So because it hit me one day. I liked comics, like most kids I knew who, whether they admit it or not, liked comics. So I ran into it was Tuesday was comic book day. I'd grab my comic book at the 7-Eleven on the way to school, and I would read it promptly before class. And I should have been drawing or doing my project, but I was sitting there, my head down, hoping the teacher didn't see me. And I'm reading the new issue of Hulk 337. And you open it up, and if anybody doesn't know, man, McFarlane has a gift for dramatic. And Jim Sanders the third God rest his soul, has a gift for inking. And the lines on that page, man, it crystallized for me something I had been talking with my art teacher about for about 2 weeks. We were looking at pastels and paper mache and every kind of thing, chalk, every kind of medium I could work on. And she really was grilling me kind of on like what I want to do. And I'm like, I'm 14. I don't know what I want to do. And in a moment, in a single moment, I saw this book and I wanted to do that. And I just said, dude, it was over. I mean, that was it. I never questioned. I've thought about other things I could do for to make money. And as things come up, I've done other things besides comics. And sure, I love it. I love just drawing stuff that aren't comics. But man, so the reason I picked comics and the reason I love the Hulk more than anything is because it gave me direction. And over the years, it's given me focus. And again, I talked about when I'm angry, I can draw a smashing page. When I'm sad, I can draw, a pensive Hulk. If anybody hasn't seen the Hulk in a mood, like you can capture a lot with that. So I draw for me. I draw for myself. I draw for money. I draw for a job sometimes, but uh, I draw because it helps me inside. And I think that anybody that creates something, that's probably why you do it. If you're a dancer, you dance to express what's inside. If you're a musician or a painter, all of us have something inside. And I think all of us need some way to let it out. So that's why the Hulk. And I just did a Hulk. So I'm going to let's do something slightly different. I'm going to add in, look at all the stuff. I'm going to play with the toys. Maybe just play with the toys. Look at that. There's a big me, little hand, quick live doodle. Yeah, all right. I've either had too much or not enough caffeine at this point. My apologies to all my fans and friends. Easily better. Okay. Now, the Hulk was my favorite, always my favorite. But there was another. Before there was Hulk, there was The Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, yeah, you guessed it. And there was something that is so amazing, pun intended, about Spider-Man. He was young, he was relatable, he had struggles, dude. So he had a job. Like I remember watching the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends long before I really even read the comics when I was a kid. I'm sure I just watched Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends with Iceman, Firestar, Aunt May. They had that cool lab that the living room turned into and stuff. Anybody that ever watched that, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, look it up. It's on Disney Plus now. Our Disney overlords own everything, and I submit because I really don't care. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I get to talk about something. I'm going to talk real quick about art and something a lot of artists don't know. And the reason that I'm sorry, I said that wrong. That was insulting. I don't mean a lot of artists. I mean people starting out. If you're young or if you're just beginning, why do artists use an easel or why do drawing tables tip and raise? Why? Because of what I'm doing right now. I'm looking at the Spider-Man head, and to me it looks normal, and here it looks. You can see how it looks stretchy. It's like an oval. Well, from my perspective, I'm looking at it on an angle. So I'm going to illustrate this. This is a little art lesson. Okay. See me. Paper's here. I'm drawing here. I'm looking at it like this. So it looks normal to my eye. So I'm drawing a regular Spider-Man. But when you see it, guys, don't tell me that looks right. I know it doesn't. So normally you would draw on a facing your paper or whatever at a 90-degree angle so that you get the proper perspective on it. I'm going to keep doing this because, well, it's just fun and this isn't for anybody but me. But I just noticed looking at that, like, oh, that's almost cringy. So when I'm drawing it, now I'm compensating, trying to make it wider because it looks wrong to you guys. It doesn't show on everything. You don't always notice it, but sometimes you'll notice on faces, especially. Faces are tricky because they've got personality and it's what people identify most with. I think maybe that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll do some of that. I don't consider myself an expert I've known some guys who do drawing tutorials, and that's that's cool and that's great. I'm not a teacher, and I am 90% self-taught. So what I do uh, is it's not something I think that I have any expertise that I should be imparting. So unless someone asks, I don't really offer up myself to teach or tell. I can say, yeah, I like to draw this or that. I fully well believe that everybody does things their own way. So as some guys will start with the form and figure. You may notice already from the 3 drawings I've done. I always start with the eyes. That to me is the focus. I know that some other pros, maybe better artists than me, start with the form and the body. They do. Um, this is weird. I know guys that start with this. So you'd have a head, maybe a neck. You get a basic form of a body. You do hips, legs, feet, and then from this rough sketch, you can sort of guess where your picture's going, right? And these are great. I do these for sequential art when I'm doing my comic book pages. I do some rough thumbnails of poses because I can figure out and look, oh man, real quick, this leg's longer than this leg, so I'll fix that. And you can fix it in a sketchy way. But when I'm just drawing, like the Hulk, like here, the most important thing to me is the eyes. That's the focus of your character. That's where people are going to look first. When you look at a human being and on the street, do you look at their okay? I'm not going to say any of that. I'm going to say you look at someone's eyes. Hopefully, you focus on the eyes. That's the mirror to the soul and all that. And that's not the way everybody works, and that is fine with me. I have no problem admitting that I'm not a trained pro. I'm a guy that's been drawing for a long time, basically. But this would be something that more often than not in tutorials I see. I've talked to a lot of friends personally, though, sitting and drawing that still like to draw like this and start with the eyes. Somebody hit me up if you'd like to hear more art stuff, or if that's boring. I would love to know because um, I want to do more. I want to do more videos, and it's helping me talk through my anxiety about uh, putting myself out there and promoting myself because I'm not that guy. Guys, I'm literally the guy that wants to just sit and draw all day and wish somebody would just pay me to do that. Turns out that doesn't work though. There's no if you build it, he will come kind of thing. You have to build it, then you have to work it and market it and get it out there. Musicians have an agent, actors have an agent, and I'm sure in some circles artists do too. But for comic book guys, we got to hustle our own selves. We got to put ourselves out there, find our own gigs, work our own craft. Like on top of having to find work and do work, we're always trying to do better. I think everybody that likes to put their work out there also wants it to be the best it can be. There's a crippling self-doubt thing that goes along with the ego that it takes to think that your creations are good enough for the world to see. And sometimes those things war with each other. But like I said, I got to be my own agent, so I got to be putting myself out there. So this is a little another Spider-Man. I do. God, Lord, love it. If I ever get a Spider-Man job, there's a lot of different styles of Spider-Man out there. There are different artists that you can emulate. I think all of them and the best ones, they find their look and they stick with it because the eyes, again, are the windows of the soul. Everybody draws the eyes slightly differently. I'm a gigantic fan of McFarlane. Todd McFarlane does uh, these wide eyes like this and a little bit of an angry thing in the tip too. So I'm going to emulate that for now. But what I don't like about McFarlane's Spider-Man is the webbing on his face. He does the webbing very tight, and I like a spaced out webbing like this, more like the classic classic Spider-Man, probably because I learned to draw Spider-Man from watching the TV show Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And so the webbing is more spaced out like that. Todd McFarlane, though, dude does webbing so close together and it takes forever. It's worth it and it looks cool, but I'm just going to illustrate for you real quick. Get it? Illustrate. So Todd would do a webbing like this, much closer together, more intricate. That's me. That's not my favorite style of Spider-Man. But I do like his eyes, though. He started and popularized the big-eyed Spider-Man, which I think is probably responsible for most of what they do in the movies now. They came up with those shutter eyes where he can show expressions, and I think it's because somebody started making the eyes expressive, and that's got to come from McFarlane. But if I were ever fortunate enough to get a job drawing Spider-Man for real, I wouldn't copy. I wouldn't copy anyone. I wouldn't copy McFarlane as much as I like McFarlane. I wouldn't do the eyes like this, even though they're more my favorite. And Todd's eyes are way bigger. Actually, if I'm being honest, Todd's eyes. If you know Todd McFarlane, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. Todd's eyes are more like this bad boy right here. And they're very specific and recognizable. So although everybody does gigantic eyes, I could tell. I can tell from watching him, from studying him over the years. Like I know, you know your favorite artists, and this isn't quite it. But his eyes are gigantic, like this. They cover the whole face pretty much. So that would be the kind of eyes that Todd McFarlane would draw. Me, let's do this. If I were Ken, I would do this kind of eye for Spider-Man. I literally don't know if anybody cares, but I do, and it's my show. And man, I'm 49 minutes in here. So I do like the little angry thing he puts in the tip, but I would do a more squinty eye. And the reason for that, I'll explain in a moment, because one of my favorite things as a kid, especially with doing Spider-Man, comes from this. So I do a more of a wide eye-shaped eye, and then I like to flare out a little bit. And it's more something I started doing for me for fun. And you gotta do that little thing in the middle. I like 1, 2, 3 lines at the top, no more. I keep looking up here to see if I'm drawing all funky because I'm on a crazy angle. So I'm just starting this, doing these live streams and stuff. And if I keep doing them and I do more, I'll invest in more equipment, maybe better microphone and stuff. And another kind of a rig. I'm literally right now just on setting this stuff up on a couple of end tables with a little bendy thing I bought at Five Below to hold my phone. So Spider-Man Classic has 3 lines at top. You got 1, 2 in the middle here, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4 you don't always see. Now, that's not well spaced out, but I kind of don't care. I'm just playing around here. So that's how I do mine. Spider webs. I always feel like there has to be sound effects when I'm drawing web. Like Bob Ross style. A happy little cloud and a happy little web. There's something I did like that the first movie Tobey Maguire did. They did the webbing raised. If I'm feeling really fancy, I like to shade inside of each little bit of webbing. It just feels like it adds a little something to it, and it gives you the sense that the mask isn't cheap and smooth. And I think that's what I liked about the movie that had the raised webbing, gave it depth and texture. So anyway, back to work. The reason I like the eyes like this, wide, is because it kind of reminds me of the old Electric Company Spider-Man. The first live action Spider-Man I ever saw was just a guy in a suit on the Electric Company, and I don't even remember if he climbed anything or did anything. He just a guy in a suit showed up, and I remember that the eyes on the mask just kind of stretched out a little bit. And so I always said if I did my own, that'd be my homage here to that classic Electric Company Spider-Man. Because again, dude, something inspired me and it stuck with me. So why do I do comics? Two reasons. One, I like it. I like to do it. So I mean, I guess that would be enough. But the reason I like it is because it gives me something. It makes me feel something good. And the second is I talk about this tapestry of life, and you never know who you're going to reach. I talked to Jim Sanders um, years later. I actually met Jim Sanders online. We became really good friends. We even worked together on a couple of things. Sadly, Jim passed away before Angel's Blood came out because he was in 2017. He died. He was it was sick, you know. Anyway, not going to go into that, but he's a great guy and an amazing artist. And the world sometimes just chews you up and spits you out. But he kept a positive outlook on things, and he was always willing to help me and talk to me as a friend and an artist. And so anyway, Jim Sanders didn't, years later. I mean, didn't work in comics for decades. Got a regular job, worked at Walmart. Got a real life, wife, divorce, all this. Life happens, and he had worked in comics, but he didn't know what impact he had. He was no Jim Lee. He wasn't, and I don't mean that in talent wise. I mean he wasn't famous. I mean he didn't get a big break. He didn't get to break off and go to work at Image, or he wasn't part of any revolution. He was just one of those guys plugging away, doing what he loved in the '80s. And there's so many of them, and their stories they vary, but they meant something to somebody. Every one of them. Somebody picked up a book, and it's like, I love that. Or a little kid. When I was a little kid, having a comic book sitting in the back seat of my parents' car on a long trip, a car ride or road trip or something. Those comics where they meant something to me, and I think we never know just by shining our light who we're going to reach, what we're going to do, and how we might affect other people. And if we can do what we love, what makes us happy, that alone is inspiring. I think of my favorite creators, and mostly they just did their thing, having no idea that they made me happy. They brightened my day. Maybe something I did brighten my day. Maybe a Facebook post of mine or yours makes somebody smile. And love of God, that could be the most important thing on any given day to somebody. So maybe somebody likes Spider-Man, and I drew a Spider-Man because who doesn't love Spider-Man? This has been fun. Um, I'd like to I'd like to wrap it up and just end by saying the world is a wonderful place. I know it feels crappy. I know it seems like if you turn on the news, and it's hard not to because I have to pay attention to what's around me. I feel like I can't just bury my head in the sand and turn a blind eye to struggles of other people if it doesn't affect me. I admit every now and then I unplug and I do it for my own sanity, you know, but I pay attention to what's around me, and most of us do. Maybe we pay too much. I think everybody's got to find their level of comfort, but it feels like the world is a really crappy place, especially right now. It feels like we're at each other's throats and we are all enemies. And I feel the same way. I'm not even preaching, dude. I sometimes during COVID, especially, I feel like some of uh, my fellow Americans are not just opposition, but I feel like we're at war, and it's not really like that. And it's important to step back and take perspective and realize that you're reaching out and you can help somebody just by doing that, just by saying hello or a smile or a kind gesture. Man, if you can help somebody do it, That's all I want to say. Thank you for tuning in and watching my little ramblings and drawings. If you did, thank you for watching later because this is going to be out on all my pages and YouTube. I'm starting a new YouTube channel. There's only a couple of videos on it right now because I have a lot to upload. I wanted to do something dedicated just for art. My old YouTube channel is all full of videos of my daughter, which is great. But I mean, the whole world isn't going to sit and watch Emily videos all day. It's good to have, but so follow me on YouTube. I don't have the link right now. I'll find it and put it in the comments. But I mean, you can search for me. It's Ken Lenar Art, and I got my Instagram, my Facebook, YouTube. Oh no! Okay, you know what? I almost wrapped up and forgot one of the most important things I was going to do today, and it's going to be. Give me a moment while I search for my problems here because in promoting Angel's Blood, which is again my favorite project and the next thing coming out right now. I know I said I was going to wrap it up. I got a couple minutes. Angel's Blood is very near and dear to me because Angel's Blood came in my life at a time when I was just discovering how to be a legit artist, and by that I mean I used to draw on paper, typing paper, copy paper, typing paper for those of us that are old enough to have had a typewriter, but just plain 8.5 by 11 white paper, and with Bic rollerball pens, and I drew everything with that. I drew in. I barely even used a pencil. Now, anybody that wants to know why, by the way, I use a blue pencil. It's because when you copy it in black and white, blue doesn't the shade of blue doesn't show up, and then it vanishes. You don't have to erase. You can keep your originals intact. It's just better for everyone. I found that when I draw in regular pencil, if I ink over it, I got to erase, and then I damage my inks, and the inks come out lighter. So, but way back when in the day, I got to find something. So, Angel's Blood came into my world when I was trying to figure out. I started Googling and looking up. This is before Facebook even. What kind of things were real artists doing? What were the pros doing? I guess is what I meant to say. Not real artists. Anybody is a real artist. Don't let anybody tell you you're not a real freaking artist just because you don't have the right materials or use the best paper or ink. I myself don't like to ink with a quill or a brush. I don't find I have good control with that, and I certainly am not good at dipping my pen and without spilling it. So I mean, you can be an artist, man. If you want to make music, make music. You want to make shows, make shows. You know how many people are out there right now just making stuff? The whole indie movie filmmaking community is massive, and it's gotten even more massive throughout COVID. I'm going to share a sample right now. So speaking of artists, one of my buddies that I've known for about a decade now, Mohammed Lubasan. I always say that. Okay, my man Mo goes by Lubas, Lubasan. His name is Mohammed Lubas. He lives all the way on the other side of the planet, and I love the fact that the internet lets us get together and you get to know people from other places. So I'm going to show you this. Just a little quick. This is my man Mo. He is rocking this extra special pinup for the Angel's Blood Kickstarter. That's my man right there. He does a lot of superhero comics and action poses. He's got a gift, dude. If you look him up, so that's why I put his Instagram up there because my man Mohammed, he works constantly, but us indie artists could always use more work. So if you're looking for a good artist and it's not me, make it him because that's my man right there. I'm gonna go back to my overlay. Boom, boom. Oh, that's StreamYard. Hey, nope, that's Ken. All right, Conversations. I love what I do. I love promoting other people, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to put that out there because Mohammed, he helped us out with a pinup for the last Kickstarter, and I begged him to do one here for us, and I don't have another picture of that, unfortunately. So I wanted to quick reveal that. I just want everybody to see what kind of cool stuff we're doing, not just me, but we. um, for the Angels of Blood Kickstarter coming May 10th. All right, man. Follow me, click like and subscribe on my Facebook or on my YouTube channel. Um, I know it's just starting out, but I really would like to. I'd like to build more interaction. I don't have enough, except for like family and friends that love watching what I do, and I like that. But I'd like to hear more from everybody. Anybody that's got something to say. Maybe you like my art, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to talk about other stuff, politics. I think I might do some commentary on social stuff or things with my videos. I have opinions like everybody else on the internet, right? But I don't want to be provocative. I have my personal opinions can be provocative. I don't want to be. I think what I want to do, because I believe in karma and I believe in energy and I believe in putting the best out in the world, and that will fill the world with better things and it'll come back to me. I hope. Um, I'm a happy person. I love my life. I have a great family, and their support means the world to me. And that's it, guys. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a writer, so I don't have a good wrap up. So I'm just gonna say goodbye. Thank you for playing. I appreciate you. Be kind to each other. Stay strong.